I still remain Mazi O.G.B. In today's discussion, we are going to look at two things that are very important for us. And I believe as it is important to us, it is important to every humanity, especially for those who truly care about human life, democracy, and the freedom of all. Welcome. Thank you so much for giving us your time. We value it and we respect it. Thank you. We are going to look at something very, very important. And what we are going to look at is the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the Nigerian government. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, by right, is a citizen of Nigeria and also a citizen of United Kingdom, popularly known as UK. But unfortunately, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu disagreed with Nigeria in so many ways. Likewise, many other citizens, millions of Nigerian citizens, are in support of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and his actions. But first of all, let's define what is a country. We look at again what is a constitution. And then we now look at the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. A country can be called a nation with a geographical territory. There have to be a geographical territory before a country can be emerged. And now, what is a constitution? A constitution should be known. I shouldn't say it is, because currently the one Nigeria is using was not written by the people of Nigeria. Okay, so I will tell you frankly that a constitution is simple a letter or a document agreed upon, signed upon by the people in the same territory. You can say that Nigeria has a constitution, but the question here is who and who wrote the constitution? Who are the people that put that document down? Was it Nigerians? Was it foreigners? Was it few Nigerians? Or is it written by the people? In our research so far, we've come to realize that the current constitution of Nigeria was not written by Nigerians. Or you can say was written by few Nigerians in another man's land. We are talking about the current constitution written in 1999. That's why even the politicians in that country refer to it as a military document, a military constitution. That's what even the politicians call it. Not just ordinary people that call it the military constitution, but the politicians in that very territory that are enjoying it. Once it did not benefit them, they call it military document. But the civilians, the majority of the people, frankly know that this is simple a civilian document put together to rule the people. This is what I always try to tell people. A law, when you are making a law, actually you do not know what will happen tomorrow. That is, the law might turn against you tomorrow and it might benefit you today. And you don't have to accept the law only when it benefits you. You've got to accept it whenever, however, and whenever necessary. Now, Obasanjo was among the key architecture of the Constitution of Nigeria. But here is what happened. Obasanjo benefited with the Constitution when he was the president from 1999 to 2007, which is estimated to be approximately 8 good years. He enjoyed it. He was, swimming on it, rejoicing, calling it the best document ever made, the best constitution ever made. But here is what happened. Since he left the office, he has been among the agitators that the constitution is fraud. He has been among the agitators that the country is not moving forward and saying something needs to be done. And all the countrymen, everybody have come to agree that the constitution is one of the big problems. But okay, let's try to agree in order to move forward here. Let's agree that the constitution is legit and the constitution written by the people. Now, here is the question. If this constitution is written by Nigerians, and should the government obey her own law, or are they above the law? I think it's a very good question that somebody who know better than us have to answer. Where I am living, it is a country that obeys the law. And whenever a law is made, everybody respects it. Now, the thing, the question everybody is asking today is Nigeria above her own law? Nigerian government is disappointed in what the government is doing. Just give us a second. Let's put some stuff together. Right. Now, everybody seems to be very disappointed in what the government is doing. Example, Nnamdi Kanu, like we said before, is a citizen of Nigeria, and Nnamdi Kanu was of the opinion that, first of all, he started with referendum. He started with restructuring. He says, it is believable and we can agree to the fact that Nigeria is a multi-state. Like in that country, you have over 200 different tribes. Take, for example, the Hausas, there are more than 50 million people. That's on my own prediction. The Yorubas, there are more than 50 million people. This is me predicting. And the Igbos, I am very sure that there are more than 60 to 70 million people. Now, Nnamdi Kanu says, looking at the three regions in Nigeria, we call it East, West, and North. The government automatically abandoned the East. We don't want to talk about the genocide committed by the government against the Easterners. But let's just focus on the current happening. Nigerian government, your duty is to do to others what you are doing to any part of the country. Treat the East, treat the West, treat the South the same way. Don't treat anybody anyhow just because they are Yorubas, just because they are Hausas, just because they are Igbos. But here is the fact. If you go to the southeastern Nigerian today, there is no presence of federal government in that part of the country. And that is the part of the country that is feeding all the countries. All what they are spending in other parts of the country comes from that region. If you go to the west, you see a lot of government presence, building road, building railroad, building many things. If you go to the north, the same thing. Nigeria returned to democracy since 1997, but Igbo man has never been given opportunity to be the leader of the country. Are you trying to say that Igbos are not qualified in education, in intelligence, or in what? Now, not just that, but what do we see in the country? If you come to the eastern part of Nigeria, you will get not less than 5,000 different military checkpoints. But if you go to the west, you will hardly see any military checkpoint. If you go to the north, where there is real crisis, where there is real terrorist attack every day, but you will never see such military checkpoint in that part of the country. But if you come to the east, which is one of the most peaceful regions since after the genocide, you see a lot of military checkpoints in that part of the country. The question is, are we still fighting war? Or why are you here? What are the militaries doing? Military that should be, the armies that should be in the forest, in the camp, but here you put them in all the roads. And do you know what they are doing on the road? Can you guess? Escorting money from the people. If you want to pass with motorbike, you give them some penny. If you want to pass with whatsoever, you have paid all the taxes necessary, but you've still got to settle them on the road. So before you will transfer goods from distance of 20 kilometers, you are going to end up meeting about 20 different military checkpoints or police checkpoints And you've got to settle them one by one. Imagine what these guys are doing to that region. Now, these people said, okay, you know what? In order for this country to move forward, let's go back to regional government. We learned our democracy, as they said. Nigeria learned our democracy, as they said, from United States of America and from UK. But look at what is happening in UK. In UK today, there is Scotland, there is London, and other Irish people. What are they doing there? What they are doing there is every region in that part of the world controls their own people. They have their own courts, they have their own police, they have everything. Only what they have together as a nation is military and currency. Let's go to America and see what is happening there. In United States of America, what you will see there is that USA has 50 states. In these 50 states, each state has their own police. They have their own state court. They have their own state Supreme Court. They have their own state Senate. Now, Nigeria, you learned your democracy from these two major countries. Why can't you adopt the system that these guys are using? Why can't you accept the fact that the way you are going is not helping and join the group that is actually progressing? But what they did is that somebody will sit in Abuja and control a country as diverse as Nigeria, which has been proven to be impossible. Not just that, let me tell you once again, Nnamdi Kanu agitated for restructuring. Let's go back to regional and remain one Nigeria, as we all claim that we love Nigeria. They said no. Okay. Now, Nnamdi Kanu said, if you disagree on restructuring Nigeria and you do not want to treat the Igbos or the Easterners, because in the East, there is many other tribes there. It's not just the Igbos alone, right? If you don't want to treat us like you are treating others, if you don't want to show us the sense of belonging, okay, we want to be on our own, a separate country and a good neighbor with you, Nigeria. And the Nigerian government says for him to open mouth and say he need his own country, that he have committed treason. Easterners are more than 70 million people. Tell me that 70 million people does not have the right to ask for referendum, to ask for their own self-ruled government, that they cannot be on their own, over 70 million people. Not just that, as he was preaching this, Nigerian government keep attacking him in all ways, and they failed. Kanu traveled to Kenya for reason best known to him, and Nigerian government went to Kenya to kidnap him. Nigerian government kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya. They kidnapped, I didn't say they extradited him. No, they kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu. And they took him to Nigeria as a hostage. They planned to unalive him. But unfortunately, God in heaven saved Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. As God saved Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that wasn't enough for Nigerian government. Nigerian government took him to court in the same country called Nigeria. The judge in that same country said that this man called Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has no case to answer here. Number one, the way you guys take to bring him here is unlawful. It's against Nigerian law, it's against international law, it's against AU law, it's against ECOWAS law. So, if I am to try anybody, it is going to be Nigerian government. But for the sake of fairness, let this man go. He has no case to answer. And they let him go. Just for him to come out of the court, just in front of the court door, Nigerian government rearrested him. And they said that they have more case against Kanu. They took Kanu to court with over 25 different cases. As the case continues to go, they keep amending the case. If they go to court today, they will amend it to 20, they will take away 5, and they will adjourn the case. They go to court tomorrow, they will take away 6, and they will adjourn the case. Finally, justice, I don't know if I should call that justice, but anyway, let's just manage to use the word justice. Binta Nyako recused herself, saying that she cannot try Nnamdi Kanu. And what does she have to do? She is withdrawing from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case. According to them, she submitted her request and her request was rejected. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu wrote a letter to the court saying that Binta Nyako has become biased, and for that, he has no faith, he has no confidence that she is going to deliver justice on this case. So for that reason, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu requested for his case to be transferred to another judge, and Nigerian government refused to do that. The question is, do we really have law in that Nigeria? The question is there real law in that country? If there is law, who is it made for? Who is this law made for? I am not surprised as a old man, someone who has been close to this system, who monitor the system in and out whenever, however they are moving. I've got to know that really Nigerian government is not, in fact, Nigeria is not serious yet to be a country anyway. Because you cannot tell me that you will write a law by yourself and that same law you cannot obey it. Nigeria is a country that has been disobeying her own law, and there is many examples to back it up. We know about the case of Emefiele. What happened in his own case? Emefiele was brought to court by the same government, and court, after looking into his case, said that, you know what, this case, your Emefiele's lawyer applied for a bail. In fact, the judge granted the bail in some conditions. But after that, the judge says, you know what, Emefiele, you are going to remain in the custody until you meet all the bail conditions. And the warder, who should, in the right sense, take Emefiele to custody, came to do their job as the constitution required. And the so-called DSS interrupted and said no, that Emefiele is going with them, which is against the law and against the pronouncement of the judge. And my question is, Nigerian government, you are the one who appointed, in fact, the constitution is written by you. You are the one who appointed these judges. Why are you disobeying their pronouncement? Why? This is not an issue. Sometimes we try to present the argument that Nigerian government has been all in history been against Igbos. I don't know why it is like that, but it has been happening for long now. We know that. There is no argument on that. But the fact is this. If you look at the history of Nigeria, you will see that there has been injustice from the day one, because that country was built in corruption. That country was built on injustice. There was no agreement. But none of them, not even the Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, agreed in 1914 that they want to be a country. We don't want to talk much about how Nigeria came to exist. Nigeria became a country, so to say, in 1914. A white man from Britain came to that part of the earth, and he saw that the land is fertile, and he settled there. And he started to make a claim saying that this place, that place belongs to him. He conquered the place he conquered, and he kept moving. He conquered the west, he conquered the north, he conquered the south. These people were different entities, different countries, neighbors, different culture, different food, different way of dressing, different way of speaking, different way of doing things, nothing in common. There is nothing that Yorubas have in common with the Hausas. There is nothing that the Igbos have in common with the Yorubas. The only thing we have in common is that we are neighbors. And before the arrival of the white man, there has never been a history of war among these three brothers or these three neighbors. But the white man came and claimed ownership of the land and joined them together, amalgamated them, and named them Nigeria. And history said that even after that was done, no one among these three people was happy. They agitated, they disagreed. But you know what happened during the colonial era? What happened is that they used superior weapons to overpower our ancestors. And that worked so well for them. Now, having said that, Nigeria proceed to exist as a nation. 1960, Nigeria got her independence and the country began to exist again. But this time, Nigeria was practicing what I call understandable government. There was what we know as a regional government, which was the time Nigeria was prospering, when Nigeria was Nigeria. Nigeria became a nation that respects her history. The East had their own government. The West, likewise. The South, likewise. But unfortunately, politics and corruption entered in again. Greedy entered in again. And the politicians became so mad. And you know what happened? The military took over the government in 1966. Since then, the regional government was abolished, state was created, power was transferred to the center in control of everything. But I want to tell you a short history. When Nigeria was under a regional government, history made us to understand that Nigeria was prospering beyond expectation of anybody. In fact, the eastern part of Nigeria, her economy was growing more than any economy of any nation. I didn't say any economy in Africa. Any economy. In fact, growing more than UK economy, growing more than American economy at the time. But these still white people, these guys, they've done a lot. But you know what? I'm not blaming them. Because blaming them is like trying to waste time and also trying to dodge your responsibility. Whatever anybody did to you, the person did it because he or she came and the opportunity was given. If you blocked the opportunity, they wouldn't have done it. But even though they've done it, you've grown up, you don't need to continue living in complaint. You've got to look for a solution to sort yourself, to solve your personal problem. It has become a problem to the country, but the country has chosen to live in corruption. But I want to tell us something because Africans seems not to learn at all. The issue that led Nigeria to civil war, if we can remember, then there was regional government. The East was led by O.G.B. The West also was led by one of their own son. The North, the same thing. But in the Central, it was Gowon as the military head of state. Then these three brothers came together to have a conversation how this country should be run in order for everyone to be happy. And they went to Aburi in Ghana. The president of Ghana was there. The Nigerian military head of state was there. The then head of state, the head of Eastern government was there, Ojukwu. And all of them came together to discuss the affair of the country. They had discussion, they made an agreement, everything was on record, and they came home to implement it. But Nigeria disappointed, disagreed, not just disagreed, but denied everything that was said in that conversation, denied everything that was agreed on that meeting, and said that nothing was agreed at all. They turned it down and announced different things. And Ojukwu was like, no, this is not the agreement. Ojukwu brought out the recording, which each and every one of them have, and said, no, this is what we said. Why are you saying different things? You see, Nigeria has been all time living in corruption, denial, and injustice. That's why I'm of the opinion that the most stupid person on this earth, or the most blind person, is the person who will come out to defend Nigerian government. Because there is nowhere you can start that you won't if make full of yourself. Where do you want to start? Tell me. How can you defend Nigerian government? How can you defend that world, that nation, that country called Nigeria? How? You just want to make yourself look stupid. There is no way, no how you can defend it. All sides, all ways around suggest that the country has never been fair to herself. And I want to remind us once again, this set of lawyer that Nnamdi Kanu is using, I was just very happy because of what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu did in the court. He represented himself so well and so perfect. But what is shocking is that when he was making a statement, addressing the press, perhaps speaking to the court as well, and to the government that seems to want to try him, one of his lawyer was like, it's okay, keep quiet. And I was like, who is this one? After they will come out to make on and a very weak statement that no one is ready to listen to, and the man whom everybody wants to hear from is speaking, and you're trying to shut him up. But thank God to a brave man like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who said to him, stop talking when I'm talking. Stop talking when I am talking. It is good to know what you are doing. And it is good to always stand at the right position so that you won't make fool of yourself. See, you will make fool of yourself. I just want us to know that what Nigerian government is doing actually is very disappointing, not just to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, but to herself being the government of Nigeria. I don't know, how do this government want the world to see them and respect them and take them as a country that cannot respect her own law is already a failed state. Tell me the country around the world that disobey her own law. It is a country like Nigeria. And what is happening actually in the DRC, in Congo, what is happening there is just the same thing that is happening in Nigeria. Government abandoned her own people, and you still want to go there and take what they have to feed other parts of the country, and you don't want to include them as part of the country. When they say, okay, if you still don't want to include us, then let us be on our own, you say no. Okay, let us practice regional government whereby everybody comes to the central to pay tax, you say no. Who is fooling who? Who is fooling who? I am of the opinion that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should be released as soon as possible. Not me saying, but your own court have said it. And if you think that you have a case against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, assign this case to another judge and bring up your case. Let's see your argument. If you defeat him, you send him to prison. If he defeats you, you allow him to go and allow their friends to go with him. Someone asking for a referendum in his own homeland, I see no crime over it. Let me be honest with you. UK that we know is like a three country in one that made up the kingdom. Scotland being part of UK, they have requested for referendum more than 3 times and it was granted and they failed. UK themselves, through referendum, they came out of EU. Why is it different in Nigeria? Why are you putting Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to prison because he asked for referendum? Give him the referendum. If he fails to secure the majority votes in the East, then Nigeria continue to exist. East continue to be part of the country. But if he secures the majority, you allow him and his people to go peacefully. Peacefully. Right of referendum is not a crime in any part of the world. In as much as you are not carrying arms, you are very free. You are very, 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 very free to ask for whatever you want. And the government of the land is obligated to respect your right. These are constitutional matter. But the major crisis here is that Nigeria has no constitution, nor does she respect the little that she has. So that's why we gather here as often as possible to look at issues like this. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case is one of the most important cases for us, and we always appeal and ask the government to do what is needful. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a father, is a wife, is a friend to people, and he belongs to a community that cherish him and love him. And his freedom is not just important to him, but important